God is good, and with each day that passes brings us a day closer to the launch of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Today I want to give my perspective and how it felt and my key takeaways for playing my future MMO home, Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, which is currently in the final pre-alpha phase, gearing up and headed towards alpha. I'm honored to have been given permission by Visionary Realms to be able to share my experience playing the evaluation build through Castle Deviere and the caves beneath, experiencing questing, the Dire Lord, the perception, the exploration, and the group play and dynamics of this wonderful upcoming MMORPG. And today I just want to share the information that I have, and I've taken a little bit of time to think about it, to chew on it, to really kind of absorb my whole experience so I can give you the best evaluation and my thoughts and feelings, etc., which I'm going to do in this video. Before we begin, I want to give a big, major shout out to the members of NAPALM. You are the sponsors of this channel. I could not do this without you. Thank you so much for your support. And if you're interested in helping support this channel, please click the join button down below for more information and a list of perks. And a very special shout out to the Lords of NAPALM, Rayco, Bounty Code, and Ray Cooper. Thank you for your highest tier membership. First, I have to talk about something that I wasn't allowed to show, but that I did experience and was given permission to discuss what I saw, just not show it, and that is Fairthell. Upon login, we were standing on a trail amidst the giant old trees of the legendary Fairthell. And while waiting my friends to log in, I just stood there spinning my camera in awe at the majestic beauty of the swooping limbs and intricate details of each blade of grass swaying in the gentle breeze. There were creatures lumbering about through the foliage and a feeling of ancientness about the entire place. There was also a feeling of extreme adventure awaiting just beyond that path I stood, a world that had hardly been disturbed and that surely was filled with secrets and lore that would rock a halfling's socks off. My mouth was agape, my heart was filled, and it was all I could do to fight back a tear from falling from my eyes when we were told we could look around for a bit. I saw areas that the legendary Joppa and Ben Dean had ran around together, showing off the perception system, and it all looked and felt like a real place with some masterclass shadowing and world building, the highest degree I have ever seen in any game before. The only oddity was that my character model was obviously not in the same state of completion as Fairthell looked and seemed. Although I wasn't able to share my experience in Fairthell, I am very glad that my adventure started there, because it started my adventure off with a grand feeling of scope and gave Castle Deviere more meaning inside of a grander world. That Castle Deviere is but a very small pocket of the universe of Terminus in Pantheon's great world and lore. And as I think about that a day will come that we all will be together running about these open world environments, grouping up and discovering the many secrets of Terminus together, laughing, bonding, creating memories, conquering, and being defeated together, it really is going to be the highlight of our MMO and gaming lives. Which brings me to the next key takeaway from my experience, the secrets and the unknowing. As I ran around in Castle Deviere with options and dialogue, running around lost and confused, and with the words of the NPCs to guide me, with no map, no markers or arrows or giant exclamation points or question marks above their heads, no guiding line to follow, it didn't take me long to realize there were heaps of secrets and undiscovered things happening amongst the diverse happenings of the denizens within Castle Deviere. The mysterious guy doing experiments tucked away beyond the caves, the whispers of disturbances happening around the castle. I just knew that there was a secret to uncover if only I had more time. If only I could find the torch that would open the secret passageway. If only I could find an item that would have meaning and definition to the NPCs to show to them. There was no linear feeling even while playing by myself with the goal of making it to the caves to begin our group gameplay. It certainly gave the impression, and was later proved to be true, that I could take many different routes, many different decisions to affect the NPCs and my own adventure. Later, Joppa teased us that there were so many secrets we hadn't seen unseen or uncovered as he and the other developers crept around the castle invisible, watching us. And I can't wait for you too to experience just how much more interesting things are when given this amount of freedom, even in a more or less a demo of this evaluation build of an area. Now, I have to also say that the key hand-holding that would be necessary, tooltips explaining key parts of the game, such as what the perception pings are or how to explore the world, were all there, making it very seamless for new players, but also not actually holding your hand, but more of a pat on the back, like, here's how you use the tools at your disposal, now go get it. And I think players will appreciate the nod from the developers, saying more or less, here is how you do the basics. Now we know you are not an idiot, and we aren't going to offend you. Take these tools and do what you want when you want. Because for too long, developers have treated us, let's just be honest, especially at the beginning of our adventures in an MMO, they treat us like complete idiots who've accidentally stumbled upon a keyboard and a mouse like some wild Sasquatch and are fumbling about it like an uneducated, untamed, uncivilized beast might poke and prod at the technology of tomorrow. And I'm sick of being treated that way, and I'm sure you are too. So it felt like the developers really appreciated us as being an actual human with a brain and with thumbs, opposable thumbs, and understanding how to use our own keyboard and mouse and etc. So questing in Terminus and those more solo experiences where you are just simply running about an area, trying to uncover secrets or lore or get rewards is absolutely fantastic. But let's get to the juicy bits now. The group play and working together to conquer the untamed wilds and deep dark caves and dungeons littered across the landscape of Terminus. Let's talk about how that felt, what impact it has. Now, before I go into this, I have to preface this by saying that fine-tuning of difficulty is still an ongoing process for Visionary Realms, but they did tune up the difficulty for this play session to give a more organic, more natural feel to how they want it to be at launch. And because we were aware of this, as well as the fact that the recording was going to be in your hands soon, we approached this with as much research and took it very seriously, perhaps too seriously, but I dare say that had we not taken this portion as seriously as we did, had we not had Minus run ahead and scout and report to us what he saw and to lay down tactics, that we wouldn't have gotten to see as much as we did during our limited session, and also I'm not sure we would have survived at all. We played as true seniors in the MMO genre, as professionals, and I'm glad we did because the community hadn't really seen anyone approach the game like this before, and I believe many of us will be playing very closely to what we did to that when we all get our hands on the MMORPG. Now I have to say that it really felt good to be scared, to not be able to see very well due to the darkness in the cavern and our intrepidation of using a torch because we didn't want to break stealth or make mobs aggro to us any faster. The way I couldn't just pull a mob to the safe corner of the room due to the acclimation system on the crystals, positioning became a new tactic that my old school brain kept drawing me to play differently, that I couldn't just simply pull and spin. I had to find somewhere to take the mob that was safe for the party. I had to interrupt spellcasters. I had to line of sight them to get them in the position I wanted. I was both using the environment around me as well as fighting the environment around me at the same time, and it was engrossing, it was immersive, and I forgot I was recording. I forgot this was an evaluation build, that the game was in pre-alpha and I was just in the cave 100% trying to survive and make sure that my group survived just a little longer, just a bit further. And to be quite frank, it was the most fun I've had in an MMORPG since my earliest days of EverQuest. Everything I love about MMOs stems from this kind of gameplay: the working together, communication, the difficulty, and the camaraderie that these elements bring to the players. Had I not had the experience I have with MMOs in the past, and had my group mates not had that experience that they have, we would not have been as successful as we were, at least not at the pace that we did. Now each role had to perform, from the tank to Baz's heals to Ronix's debuffs and backup heals to Minus's scouting and crowd control, using traps while sacrificing doing damage, to Theric's wizardly blasts and damage. We were each important and we each had our role to fill. We also proved that you do not have to have the perfect group makeup. We weren't a full party, first of all, with only 5 of us. We didn't have an enchanter, and I was a dire lord, which, to be honest, that's the tank that many of us have been afraid in the past isn't going to be a real tank. I'm here, by the way, to say that they most certainly are, with very key advantages and very key disadvantages, just as it should be, but that's a topic for another video. And also, without a dedicated CC class, Minus was able to expertly use his abilities in ways that come pretty close to bending the rules for an emergent gameplay experience as he CC'd the mobs and we were victorious. And in my opinion, bending the rules a bit, doing it differently, fighting the meta or the established way is more fun and more rewarding than any piece of loot. Well, than most pieces of loot at least. It felt great to run around in this dark place together, depending on one another and needing one another and leaning on each other's skills and abilities for a common goal, and quite frankly, it's already more than I ever wanted out of my MMORPG, and I am floored with the level of detail and intricate systems going on behind the scenes that kept me glued to my group and to this world. Now, in closing, I just want to say that I really enjoyed my time, and I really super appreciate Visionary Rounds for giving us content creators time to get together and play in Terminus together and show the community. That was the biggest part that I'm just so grateful for, that I got to actually show you guys some of the gameplay and what Pantheon is like. There were mistakes, and I learned some things from it as well on a personal, professional level, such as never record to a USB external drive when recording at that high of quality, because I did get some jitter in the recording. But I just want you to know that I did show the frames per second at the top left of the screen. You can see I didn't see it ever dip below 60 frames per second, and that's with a mid-grade machine. I'm running a 1060, for example, a 1060 Ti, to be clear. And I really want to upgrade, but you know, there's a little issue with getting upgrades at this point, but I'm working on it. Anyway, the experience was absolutely wonderful, and I'll never forget it for as long as I live. And this is just the evaluation build, guys. This is pre-alpha, and it's already at this point where it's already my favorite MMO, and not just from the vision, or not just from the information that we have, and not just from what we want it to be, but from what it actually already is. All they need to do at this point, in my opinion, is obviously the models of the playable characters need some more work. There's still some animations that need some work, although the animations come a long way, but things like the lighting, the actual environments, the actual gameplay, which is what they've been focusing on, obviously, is so good. It's absolutely mouth-watering awesomeness. Now, they do have a long way to go, and they do need funding, they need your support, and of course they're looking for major investors, and that's the point of this evaluation build, so that investors can play it and decide if they're going to throw down the big money or not. Now, keep in mind that as they're looking for these big investors, they're being very smart about it. They've already turned down investors that just weren't a match for their vision and what they want the game to be, so there's really not that concern with the game becoming wildly different or not what we want it to be because of an investor, because they simply won't take that deal. And the only reason they're able to have those liberties is because people like you are pledging and giving them the support to sustain the development team that they have right now to continue developing the game until they get to that point where they get a big investor and they can expand their team. And that's something I'm actually super excited about, because that means this game can be developed much faster, because they're competing with even some of these other indie developers actually had these gargantuan teams due to funding from the inside, etc. So they really do need that monetary gain in order to really push this forward at a rate we need for this game to launch in a timely manner. And when I say timely manner, I really feel like we need to get this game out in a year, 2 years max. And we need to be in alpha, as they want to do, by the end of the year, and beta next year. I mean, we really need that point, and to do that and then to get to launch fairly quickly, then they're going to have that funding. So please, if you listen to this and this sounds like the kind of MMO you want, please head over to pantheonmmo.com. I'll have a link in the description, of course, as well, and go pledge some money. Help these guys out, because they're building an MMO here that so many of us have always wanted, and it takes a lot of guts to make an MMO that depends on group gameplay, right? Not to say you can't solo, right? Not to say there's nothing here to do without a group. I think my video has well demonstrated that even when playing by yourself and exploring, etc., that you can have a grand time, and it's its own kind of gameplay. It's almost like a totally different kind of experience than when you're in group play and you're running a dungeon, obviously. Plus, you know, if you wanted to slow burn and just wait for pops in a safe area of a cave by yourself, from this gameplay footage and from my gameplay experience, I can say that I can absolutely see that being possible. Or while you're waiting for a group, which is my favorite thing, right? So I'm playing the game, I don't have a lot of time, I'm looking for a group, I'm trying to find somebody, trying to get one together. But in the meantime, I'm just here getting a little bit of experience, just pulling something safe at the beginning of the dungeon or what have you, somewhere where it's nice and safe. I could see that kind of gameplay for sure from my experience. And I'm happy for that, because I think you need that, right? So that no matter what, even if you just got like 30 minutes, you can hop on, you know, you can play a little bit, get some experience, maybe wander around a little bit, whatever you want to do, and still have some meaning from that smaller gameplay session. And that was something very important in the development of this game, and I think they nailed it. But guys, I've babbled on long enough. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this gave you some insight. The whole point of this was to make it feel like you could understand what it's like to play Pantheon if you haven't had a chance to play in pre-alpha, or if you're waiting on alpha, which should be coming soon. I wanted to give you as much as I could so that you could really feel like you understand what it felt like to play Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, this evaluation build with the difficulty tuned up, etc. But go support them. You get in pre-alpha and you know, get into when they're doing the sessions, you can join in, etc. And there's many packages available. Thank you guys so much for joining me and for making it this far into the video and watching it all. Really appreciate you. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. This is what we do. We cover MMORPGs as well as CRPGs, RPGs, JRPGs, all that kind of thing. So please subscribe and smash that like button for me and leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video. First of all, did you feel like you could really feel what Pantheon is while you listen to this? What did you think about the gameplay and our footage of it, and anything else you want to talk about? And until next time, guys, God bless and happy gaming.